Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing great. It's a good day. The sunshine of yesterday was a little bit of a head fake with the gray day that is today here in the city. But wherever you are and wherever you find yourself, I hope there is goodness in it, and that on this Holy Week you are finding some meaning and the joy and purpose. Good morning, friends. For a few folks to come along. Hello, hello. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Had the chance to see Stevie this weekend, which was really nice. So she's doing great. So hope you're well too. Good morning, Donna. Hope you're doing great. Hello. Hope Phyllis is there as well. Good morning, Jean. Hope you're doing good. Donna, I hope your mom's doing great. Hope she's healing up from her cold. Remember you mentioning that. So, good morning, Jean. All right. Good morning, friends. Let's get going. It is the 15th day. It is tax day at 11:11 on this Tuesday. I hope you are great and good, even though the day may be gray here. I hope that you are finding some goodness and some joy in it. That we are on this. We are in Holy Week. This time of as we talked about last week, where a third of our New Testament stories of the Gospels are centered on this week, and yet as but long before this week began, there was this encounter in the Gospels where Jesus is there. There's kind of much bubbling about who is this guy? Who is this Jesus guy anyway? Is he a prophet? Is he a teacher? Is he a rabbi? Or is he actually the Messiah, the one who has come to save the people? And there's much discussion about this, but Jesus turns to them in the midst of it, and it's this one line from the Gospel of John in the 7th chapter. He says, "But Jesus told them, 'I will only be with you a little longer, and then I will return to the one who sent me.'" This notion that of Jesus kind of giving them the information, giving them this time before this heads up that he is only going to be in this world with them for a little longer, and that he was even early on in the 7th chapter, he's already kind of in the home stretch of his ministry. He's been 3 years in preaching and teaching throughout the Holy Land, and he comes to this to Jerusalem, and he comes to this time, and he says, "I will only be with you for a little longer, and then I will return to the one who sent me." I always think of this, and I love this image, kind of it as Jesus enters Holy Week, of really being in the last stretch, and this kind of being in the home stretch. So, if you don't know this notion of being in the home stretch is it comes from horse racing, right? So that no matter how many times the horses would go around the track, sometimes it was just one lap around, sometimes it was numerous ones, but there were the corners of the racetrack, and then there are the straight parts, which are called stretches. And the stretches, and the last stretch was, no matter how many laps they went around, was the time that they came out of the fourth turn and went to the finish line, and that came to be known as the home stretch. And even though the horses would go around the track a bunch of times, that home stretch was the time in which they would just let it all go, and they would kind of race with with all the strength that they had left. That was, and it was, but there was also at the point in which they were most exhausted, and which they were, and so the great horses that we think about, Secretariat and all these other horses, that they were great. They were what made them great of horse races. Horses race. What made them great racing horses? Holy moly! Was the fact that they were great in the home stretch. And here in our kind of journey of the year, whether it's our Lenten journeys, because the Lent formally ended on Palm Sunday. Our great celebration of Palm Sunday. We had a great Palm Sunday tea here. One of the parts of that is the culmination of the Lenten discipline. That whatever we had taken up in Lent ends in that time. And so so there's a piece of celebration, but we still are not to the Easter time. And so this Holy Week really becomes, in many ways, of the around the disciplines of the church, really becomes the home stretch. And it's this way of entering into our story with power and with strength. Because what Jesus is telling the crowd that is trying to figure out who he is not it is also applicable to you and to I. And I don't care how old you are, whether you're young or you're older or where you are in the journey, is that we in this life get about 4,000 weeks. We get if we live well, if we can expect to have a solid 4,000 weeks. And no matter where you are in terms of the number of weeks that you have expended, there is this notion of 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 recognizing, whether it's now or whether it's maybe you're planning it many years in the future, but there will be a home stretch. There will be a time in which the finish line is at hand, and that in which we will be returning. And just as Jesus says, I am here for a short while, and I will return to the one who sent me. Well, so too is it with us. And I think that one of the things that coming into Holy Week is, one of the things that of embracing the stories of these days, embracing the journey of this, going to whatever services you can manage to go to, whatever the being kind of intentional about coming into Easter Sunday, is this way of consciously preparing ourselves for the home stretch. One of the great things about Archbishop Fulton Sheen would say, he said, that the thing that most people are afraid of is that most people have is fear of death. Although the fear of public speaking is actually, depending these days, if you look it up, it might have been different in Sheen's day, but these days, if you test that, public speaking is actually, people are more afraid of sometimes than they are actually of death. Or at least they test that way. But either way, there is this way in which, how do we, and I think that speaks to our age in terms of how scared we are in terms of our own vulnerability sometimes about what it is to be seen for who we are. But what Fulton Sheen said is that we are afraid of dying. That's one of the great fears of humanity. And he says, what the best way to do that is? What the best way to get ready for it? Practice. And he would kind of have this little chuckle and talk about what he means for that. But there's this way in which that how do we prepare ourselves? Well, we can live in that place, and we can live in such a way that we remember. We can, and particularly Holy Week gives us this opportunity to remember, not just that one day we will pass out of this mortal life, but also this one day, but that we too are eternal as God, Christ is eternal, that we too are called into life and life in abundance, that we too are called into great wonder and great joy, because we not only live now, but we live through the finish line and into the winner's circle. That this race that we're running, we can run in this Holy Week with a little bit of a home stretch feel. That we can run into it with our full expectation of God's goodness and grace for us in Easter Sunday, and that whatever comes in this week, whatever manifests itself, whatever brings itself up, we know that, well, we are here for a short while, and we will return to the one who made us. And that journey, that wonder, that goodness of that promise is what Easter is about. But it's also what the day-to-day life is about. That the ability to live fully in this day without the fear of all the stuff that's going to come in the future or what's going to happen, or without all the anxiety of and the shame of a past that the things that were done to us and how wounded we are, or the things that we did and how we cannot forgive ourselves, or whatever, all these past things that might worry us, or all of those future things that might, about how the world may come apart. This hour and this day, we are in the home stretch, and we can run fully. We can engage fully in this life. And does that mean we all step into the next life tomorrow? No. I certainly hope that's not true, and I certainly hope it's not true for any of us. We should live long and good upon the earth. But that part of living today, part of seeing the face of the Messiah in the world around us, part of this entry into the holy city, that no matter that, with its suffering that is bound to come, with its Golgotha moments, with its Gethsemane moments, but also with its resurrection moments, that to enter into this fully has a way of letting us practice of being in the home stretch, of being in this day and no other, to trust that what the true good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ is what Jesus has done, what Jesus is doing, and what Jesus will do for us and for all of the world. That's my hope for you on this Holy Tuesday as we find our way to through Jerusalem and to the empty tomb in Easter. Peace and grace to you all, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.